Hi, welcome to this week's short yin yoga class where we explore one particular posture that will help you to hopefully open up this week. So with all the yin classes, we spend time focusing on our breath and how we're feeling today. And I know that some of you are feeling quite anxious with the current situation. And so I want to explore how we can open our body up to a proper breath to help ourselves calm down a little, to maybe see things in a better perspective, or maybe just to get out of this hunched feeling over our computer. This week, my watch is always telling me how much screen time I have on average. And I've recently found that my screen time has doubled since the current situation since the lockdown has been with us. So I'm spending way too much time on the computer and not enough time on the yoga mat. And maybe you're the same too. And what we find with that is just everything starts to fold in and we become more anxious because we can't breathe properly into our chest, and this will just help you open up. So we need a prop. Now, if you have a yoga block handy, perfect, you're going to use this. If you don't have one of those, and why would you? You can either use a blanket or a cushion, something that's quite narrow, or you might want to find a big heavy book off your bookshelf that you may never have read before, a history of Western music, which I'm sure I should have studied, but not sure I've read too much of it. And what we can do is we can use that and place a blanket over the top of it. So whatever we use, we can find something to help us open out the chest. And we'll just be doing it from lying down. So the whole 20-minute sequence today is going to be lying down. And when we come to this bit, we're going to lie back over the block or the book or the blanket, and it's going to sit between our shoulder blades so that our arms can just drop off the side, opening out across the front of the shoulder. Now, it's quite good to have a little bit of a stretch here, but you can see I'm probably tilted back a bit too far, so I can use another blanket or even a cushion, because the last thing we want to do is to get neck ache from this short routine. The legs can be in any position you want, but I'll guide you through that when we come to it. So if you need to pause the video and go and get a prop or props to use, then by all means go and do that now. And then we'll be ready to start the routine. So, as always, you're going to find a comfortable position for yourself in a lying down position. So it doesn't need to be anywhere fancy. It can be just somewhere on the floor, carpeted, on a rug. If you've got hard floors, then I suggest you roll out a blanket or a duvet. Make yourself as comfortable as you can. I know some people use underfloor heated blankets to put on the floor and then put a blanket over the top, and that's pretty nice, even on a beautiful day like today. So we're going to come and lie down on your back, making yourself comfortable. So I'm going to use a blanket here under my head, just so that my head's not tilted too far back. I'm going to start with my legs bent, feet flat to the floor. And we're just going to relax the body as much as possible. So closing the eyes, allow the shoulders to drop down into the floor. Allowing the hips to drop down into the floor. And the soles of the feet to be heavy to the floor. So we can stay in this position with the legs bent if we wish. Or if we prefer, we can straighten the legs out along the floor. And really tuning into how our body feels wherever we are. And we're going to give ourselves a bit of time to focus on how our body is today. So first of all, we notice where the body makes contact with the floor and allow it to be heavy into the floor. If it's easy for you, you're going to keep the lips softly closed, softly touching. And breathe in and out through the mouth, through the nose, not through the mouth. And check in with how the feet feel today, the soles of the feet. Through the toes. It's always quite nice to wiggle the part of the body you're thinking about if you find it difficult to really notice how it feels. Just noticing in which direction the feet like to point. And seeing if you can notice one foot compared to another. Allow the legs to be heavy. Letting go through the knees. Up through the thighs, back of the thighs and the front of the thighs, into the hips. And we'll just see if we can allow the muscles on the backs of the legs, where they come up into the sitting bones, to just let go a little. Often we're holding on tight there. And we're lying down, we're being supported by the floor. They don't need to work. Bring some awareness to the sides of the hips. And through to the front of the hips. The tops of the thighs, again on the front here this time. And just see if we can allow the tension to release. So we can find this easiest with the breath. So as we breathe in, we take our attention, our focus to that part of the body. And as we breathe out, we see if we can let go. See if we can allow it to be heavy and to soften. Bringing the awareness to the belly. Becoming aware, first of all, of the belly rising as we breathe in. And dropping back as we breathe out. Not trying to do too much with this at this point. Just allowing it to be where it wants to be, but you're just becoming aware of it. Becoming aware of where the back of the body makes most contact with the floor. And just seeing if we can allow those shoulders to drop back to the floor a little more. Maybe feeling a slight stretch across the front of the shoulders, across the collarbones. And allow the arms to be heavy. Becoming aware of how the hands feel. Letting go of any tension through the palms, through the thumbs, and through the fingers. Allowing the head to be heavy to the floor or the blanket or a pillow. And we just take a little movement from side to side. Settling it in a comfortable position. Finding some softness through the face. Seeing if we could create a little space between the upper and lower teeth at the back of the mouth. The lips softly closed, releasing through the temples on the sides of the face by the eyes. Seeing if we can allow the forehead to be smooth and the eyes heavy. Taking the focus back, down through the body. And bringing a bit more awareness to the breath. So really starting to expand up through the belly, up through the middle, and into the chest. As we breathe in, and then as we breathe out, letting go of the chest, the middle, the belly. Allowing everything on the front to rise up high to the ceiling. as we expand, bringing the breath in, allowing everything to soften as we breathe out. Taking a few more breaths together. Really trying to match the length of the in-breath to the length of the out-breath. And if it helps, we can do this through counting. So we can breathe up, in as we count up, and count back down to 0 as we breathe out. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4. Breathing out, 3, 2, 1, 0. And we continue with that for 2 or 3 more breaths, allowing everything to settle, everything to be heavy to the floor. And as we relax, our digestive system can work, and maybe you can hear that as my stomach rumbles, talking to you. And then we're going to bend the legs if they're not bent already. Going to have the feet flat to the floor so the knees are pointing up. And we just take a little movement side to side, just a small movement here, just to make sure that we are comfortable in this position. And then we pause, finding some stillness, thinking about the breath in the front of the body again, just as we were before. We can continue with our counting, if that helps. And we're going to start to make some connection of that breath with some pelvic tilts, which I'm sure you've done before, but if you haven't, maybe it's slightly different, who knows. We breathe in as we find some space between the back of the waist and the floor. A little arch in the lower back. As we breathe out, we allow that lower back to drop down to the floor and the tailbone tucks under. And we breathe in and we tilt the other way, arching the lower back. As we breathe out, rounding the lower back, the back coming flat to the floor. What I really want you to focus on here is to connect this movement to your breath. So really want a continuous breath in and out. So we're not looking to stop at any point, but the movement is nice and slow, very gradual, very controlled, very focused. You have to really concentrate on this, making sure we're not stopping at any point. And feeling that movement through the spine, so you find that movement coming up all the way to the shoulders. As we breathe out, allowing everything to settle down to the floor. So the back doesn't come off the floor, the tailbone just tucks up under. Breathing in, finding length across the front of the body. Maybe it comes all the way to the head. Very, very subtle movement maybe at the top of the spine. And as we breathe out, everything settles back. I want to think about those natural curves in the spine. If you can visualize that. And we're just seeing if we can get some gentle movement backwards and forwards with each vertebra in the spine, or we can imagine that. Allowing everything to keep moving. We're not looking to pause, we're not looking to hold. And then we're just going to come back to a neutral position and noticing what that position is. And we're going to bring one knee into the chest and then the other. We're going to hold onto these knees and we're just going to rock backwards and side to side. and backwards and forwards. And maybe joining those movements up in little circles, remembering we go both directions if we take circles. Nice and slow. Every movement counts. Every breath counts. We really try and make that connection between our breath and our movement and how we feel in the body today, which may be different to how we felt yesterday. We slow everything down. We take notice. Often our body is talking to us and we're not listening. So this is really time for you to tune in and to listen. And then we're going to see if we can bring our arms up a little higher, really grab round the front of the knees. And we're going to bring the head off the floor and then round out through the back of the shoulders and see if we can take the breath to the back of the shoulders, really rounding out across the back. One more breath in. And as we breathe out, we allow everything to settle to the floor, letting go through the back of the shoulders. Now we're going to bring the feet back to the floor, the arms back to the floor, and keep the legs bent. A little wiggle through the hips just to make sure everything is where it should be. And we're going to grab our prop. So if we've got our book and blanket or our block, we're just going to sit up momentarily, place it on the floor, and it's going to come somewhere between our shoulder blades, in line with our spine. So I'm going to lean back over it again, and we may need to adjust it slightly or adjust our position slightly. That's about right for me. So it's between the shoulder blades, and this is where we experiment with where we want the arms. So the head is tilted back here. If it's really uncomfortable, then you can fold the blanket more and have the head in a more neutral position. What we're really after here is what's going on across the front of the shoulders and finding the breath in the chest and through the rib cage. We're going to have the legs straight, bent, or you can come to the butterfly legs that we did a few weeks ago. So your choice. Wherever you need to take the legs, this is actually quite comfortable as well, to take the feet wide and drop the knees in. We check that the lower back isn't too arched. So if we've got the legs straight, depending on how high the block is, we may need to bend them, we may not need to. So we take our time to feel comfortable. And the arms can be away from the side. I've got the wall in the way here. But don't have them above the head as the shoulders come up and slightly forwards in that position. We really want to think about the breath across the top of the rib cage. Close our eyes and we focus. Checking with the head that that's comfortable, the neck isn't too strained. And we take the breath high into the chest. And as we breathe out, we allow everything to settle down, to soften down, to release down into our prop, our block, our book, whatever it is. So we breathe in. You still have that same idea of the pelvic tilts. The back arches a little bit more. And we find space between the ribs on the front of the body. As we breathe out, we allow everything to settle back, to really drop into the block. Breathing in, we find the space between the rib cage, between the ribs and the rib cage. As we breathe out, we allow it to be heavy down to the floor. Breathing in, finding that space across the collarbones. Breathing out, allowing the body to be heavy down to the floor. Breathing in, our rib cage opens up and out as the muscles between the ribs just expand a little more. And as we breathe out, everything is heavy down to the floor. Maybe find a little bit more release across the shoulders. So each breath is important. We don't let go of any particular breath. We make it count. The breath is slower in order to expand fully through the ribs. As you feel that rib cage lifting up and out and dropping back as you breathe out, finding the softness, finding a way to let go. Breathing through the nose, slowing the breath down, so not looking to hold it at any point, not looking to pause. So in these positions of stillness, it looks like we're not doing anything. And yet the breath is moving the body, fully expanding through the sides of the ribs right up into the armpits. And letting go, allowing everything to soften as you breathe out. Really releasing right to the end of the breath. Breathing in, so you're continually moving with the breath. We're not looking to hold the body or hold the chest. The focus is in the breath into the ribs, really giving the lungs the space to expand into fully. So many of us don't breathe fully either, or fully into our chest, and we don't allow our belly to expand fully, always slightly concerned that we want to keep it in. We want to find the full movement within the stillness. Always searching for the softness and looking to let go. So we can have a few more breaths here. Really letting go through the arms. And sometimes we only find that way to let go right at the end. But that's what we're looking for. Sometimes it takes a while to find it. It's worth persevering. If we get there, we always find it in the end. It just takes a bit of confidence, faith, to know that it's there for us, for everyone. And then wherever our legs are, we're going to bend them, bring the feet flat to the floor, knees pointing upwards and in line with the hips. And we're just going to roll over to one side, coming off our prop, our block, our book, whatever it is, taking it away, and then coming back to lie on the floor. You may need to adjust the blanket or the cushion or the pillow. We close our eyes again if you've opened them. We just allow the back to drop down to the floor. And notice how it feels. And we can keep the legs bent here if we wish. Or we can straighten them out a final resting position where we let go fully to the floor. The breath is easy. The feet are heavy down to the floor. And we let go through the muscles in the lower leg, the calf muscles, the muscles to the sides of the shins. And release through the back of the knees and through the front of the knees. We check to see whether we're holding on in the legs. We see if we can find some softness through the back of the thighs. Right up to the sitting bones. Through the front of the thighs. Right up to the hip bones. And we let go across the belly. Let go across the lower back. Allowing the back of the rib cage to be heavy to the floor. The shoulders to be heavy, the arms. Drop down into the floor. Bring some awareness to the hands and see if we can find some softness there. Up through the fronts of the arms into the front of the shoulders. See if we can just let go across the front of the shoulders. By the collarbones. And releasing through the back of the neck. Checking that the head is in a comfortable position. The head is heavy to the floor. Aware of the top of the head. See if we can become aware of the space above the head. See if we can find a softness through the face. Releasing across the brow. Through the jaws. Down through the front of the chest. Through the breastbone. Just noticing the breath, moving the chest up and down very, very slightly. Very small movements here. Everything is soft and easy. And the belly just rises up slightly as you breathe in and drops back as you breathe out. And we're going to start to wake ourselves up. So we're going to find some movement through the fingers, the toes, the feet, the hands. Up through the arms and into the shoulders. Up through the legs. We're going to take a big stretch, arms overhead, pointing the toes, stretching from the fingers to the toes. And then we're going to draw the knees into the chest. Give ourselves a big hug. A little roll from side to side. And we can roll straight up, or we can roll onto our side and bring ourselves up to a seated position. Thank you all. Can't wait to see you till next week. And have a great week and a nice, relaxing time. Enjoy the weather.